Come to standing on the mat. Yes, this morning's elephant in the room. I did this class yesterday and I missed. I can't even think of the word. I said the wrong word at one point at the beginning, and I talked about the two things that I hate when people talk to me about exercise are core and cardiac. I meant cardio, obviously, but I said it twice, so I was obviously worried about having a heart attack or something. So today we're not really doing cardio at all. It's just looking at our core muscles and using 2 or 3 things called our bandhas again. We have done this class before. It's a long time since we did it. So the elephant in the room, our core muscles. So just come to standing in Utkatasana to start. So we're going to the first bandha, which is our Pada Bandha. Pada, remember, means feet. So that's our little tripod on the bottom of our feet. So thinking of that, that's the connection. The seal here is between your feet and the earth. This is the connection with us to the earth. So thinking of that, press gently through your soles of your feet, through the big toe, the little toe connection through the joints there, and through your heels. And feel that lift. So if you do it a couple of times and then really press in and feel the connection, the kinetic chain that goes right up through your legs and into your lower abdominal area, switches on your glutes, tucks your belly, and then we come up through to the upper core, which is through the chest and the shoulders. Open it up. And then we feel that real connection sweeping back down to your feet through your Pada Bandha. So we speak about grounding and rebounding and whatever with this. This is what we're talking about, this lift through that little tripod. Okay, so then just notice your breath. We all know how to look at our breath now here in class, but look at the strength, the depth, where it's moving to, the speed it's going at, whether it feels like the inhale and the exhale really reflect each other. Sometimes one's a little bit stronger than the other. And then pop your hands to your belly, just both hands gently on your belly. We're going to think about diaphragmatic breathing here. So we're thinking about swelling the belly on the inhale and using the belly in that area to draw back in the exhale to propel the apana, the energy out of us. So when you're ready, take control of your breath. Begin to inhale down towards your belly. Don't go too fast and too deep too quickly. Let the belly swell softly in the first couple of breaths. Begin to strengthen the breath. Maybe you bring in your ujjayi breath, the sound in the back of your throat, the ocean breath, as you build it up. But don't go too fast and don't go too hard. We want this quite a gentle movement through the belly. We're not activating. We don't need to activate too much this morning. There's a big whoop whoop around the room there. Okay. So what you're feeling moving under there is your diaphragm, we know, moves, and as you expand, just continue breathing as I talk, connect with that area. So as you expand in the inhale, your diaphragm pushes down the way, and your organs then have to jostle and move about, and your abdominal area swells out to allow the space for them. So it's transverse abdominis probably is the main one we're feeling there, which is a big muscle either side of that sort of line down the middle of the front of your core. And often they're a little bit saggy after you've had children, particularly, because there's a lot of expansion and contracting there. So they might feel a little bit not quite on the game this morning. Just as you swell the breath a little bit more, you'll start to feel them. And they run right up through to your ribs. Quite deep, deep muscles, these ones. Not your six-pack. Your six-pack is right on the top, and it's just a flashy thing. Your six-pack really does help move you, but not particularly as useful as these deep muscles. Then as you do your next exhale, we're going to think about moving on the Uddiyana Bandha. So it doesn't need to be a next one, just listen to me explaining it. That's the upper lock, the flying lock seal. So it's the one where we draw our tummy in and then tuck our tummies up under our ribs on the exhale. So maybe let go of the breath and just have a practice of that. You're drawing your tummy in, which we all do. When we say pulling our tummy, we pull them inwards, but we don't think of that upward movement and tucking up under us, under our ribs. So see if you can get that movement, just drawing in. I would show it if my tummy was any better, but I'm not going to. But there's a little dip then comes just below where your ribs separate there. You can feel that little dip. So it's a kind of inward and upward movement. And once you think you've got that, go back to the breath, go back to your hands on your belly. On the inhale, swell the belly. On the exhale, draw in through the Uddiyana Bandha, so lift in and up. Inhale, let that go. So we're using this bandha that they call it's a seal. We're sealing in the energy area, so we're actually using it to move the energy out of us here. You might have seen those yogis that make that really big indentation in their bellies. That's a stronger type of breath, but that's what they're using there. So once you've connected to your Uddiyana Bandha, let go of the breath for a second. Have a little rock through your Pada Bandha again, just to release. Hands still on the belly. Now we're going to find that big elephant in the room, or it's quite a little elephant actually, it's our pelvic floor. So the pelvic floor muscles are really quite important, particularly to us ladies, particularly as we get older, but for everybody the pelvic floor is the support for your bladder, your bowel and your perineum area. So have a little play with the pelvic floor before you bring in the breath. Draw in and up. Watch what's happening. Is anything else switching on? It's as if you were stopping when you're mid-wee. That's the sensation. It's that drawing up really deep underneath. Watch you not switching on your glutes, because we tend to squeeze the glutes and squeeze everything and think that's the pelvic floor. The pelvic floor can move on its own. It doesn't need anything else interacting too much with it. Everything obviously moves a little bit, but try and find that drawing up. So as if somebody was sucking up, or as if a lift shaft and you're drawing the lift upwards is kind of visualization often used here. And I often think it's like a string and somebody's pulling up through. So that is very attached to what we've just done, the Uddiyana Bandha. So in the next inhale, exhale, we're going to think about drawing up both of those bandhas. So inhale and press down through your Pada Bandha as you inhale, through your feet. And then exhale and see if you can find that pelvic floor. Start there, draw up, draw in through the belly, draw up under the ribs, and then go back to your inhale. So a lot to think about here. See if you can try and then relax a little bit into it. So on the inhale, we're using our feet and our Pada Bandha. And on the exhale, we're using our pelvic floor and that Uddiyana Bandha, the abdominal muscles drawing in and up. So closing your eyes will help here. Just to really attach and become aware of where you're moving and what you're using. So the deeper muscles are much harder to find in us. Anything that's deep in us is much harder to become aware of and to use and to bring out in life, basically. So these are quite deep muscles. These are core muscles. Just continue breathing and trying to connect with those. So your core here, we're thinking of it like a box, and we've got the diaphragm at the top, and we've got the pelvic floor and the hip girdle at the bottom, and the abdominal area is in the front and the glutes are at the back. We're not really using the glutes in this experiment here. We're just using your diaphragm, obviously, and we're using the pelvic floor. So it's like a kind of joint action here. Okay, so let go of that one. That's one just to try on your own, to think of the 3 bandhas. So inhale, we're pushing through the bandha in the feet, the Pada Bandha, just to lift and find that connection, make some space as well. And then on the exhale, it's the pelvic floor, the Mula Bandha and the Uddiyana Bandha, that drawing in of your tummy and tucking it under feeling. So that's one to play with on your own. Okay, so still thinking of that Uddiyana Bandha, the abdominal drawing in and up as we start to move here. Inhale, take the arms above the head. Exhale, release. So in the next one, switch on that Uddiyana Bandha. Maybe the pelvic floor comes into it as well. Inhale, press through the feet as well if you can. Bring in that Pada Bandha. Exhale, draw in through the pelvic floor, up through the abdominal muscles. Tuck it under. You're lifting up the diaphragm in effect to squeeze or push gently that air out of your lungs. So just continue to move through these movements. So inhaling Pada Bandha. Exhaling pelvic floor, Uddiyana Bandha. Big words, fancy words it sounds like, but it's just words to explain part of us that we should really be aware of and be attached to keep our health up. One more, arms above the head. Bring the arms back down with the bandhas, exhaling. Come to standing. Throughout this, you might want your eyes closed, but only if you feel safe. Okay, so we're going to take our hand in front of our bellies and behind us on our backs. So like this, or you can do that if it's more comfortable. We're thinking of our pelvic tilts here. So without the breath involved, just pelvic tilts. So all we're doing is rocking the pelvis. So we're thinking of drawing the pelvis up, drawing the pubic bone navel connection, and then releasing and rolling backwards. So we're going through the whole movement here. Just be aware of the lower back. Don't push the bottom out too far. But we're tucking and rolling. And what's moving here is the most important muscles possibly in your body, which are really involved with lots of things, involved with posture particularly. And this is often what causes our backache. These are, we often refer to them as hip flexors. So the hip flexor is the shorter one, which is your iliacus, and the bigger one is your psoas, and together they're called Illiopsoas. Yeah. So anyway, without any big words, basically these help us to move our pelvis. They join our lower body, our legs, to our upper body. And the psoas major is from the femur right up through, joins onto your spine from the base of the spine right up through to the lower thoracic spine. So a huge muscle on either side of us, and that's what's moving now. And that's where we all go wrong as we get older again, because we start rolling forward, the psoas shortening, becoming inflexible. And it's so deep, it's quite difficult to flex this, particularly at the top. Okay, so just come to a standstill where you're rocking. Bring the hands to the side. We're going to look at those psoas as we go on. Just a little point. The psoas major, it's called that because 50% of us have a psoas minor, but only 50% of us, and I couldn't tell if it's you or not. Okay, so let's start moving a little bit more. We're going to start with side bends. So we're thinking of our internal and external obliques here. So we're just going to side bend. Inhale up with the left arm. Exhale, draw the armpit to hip on your right side. Back up to the top, release the arm. Go to the other side. Inhale up, press through the Pada Bandha. Exhale, don't worry, we're not going to have too many things going at once here, so I won't bring the other bandhas in too much now. But think of your Pada Bandha as you're moving up and down. And just go into kind of rolling effect here, so you're going from side to side. As you do this, remember to keep that tummy involved. Draw it back. Remember to tuck the bottom. Draw it in. Remember to keep the shoulders parallel. So you want to watch that top shoulder as you come up is not rolling forward. because what we're trying to do is use these external and internal obliques. I'm going to stop, but just keep doing that movement for a couple more. So your external and internal obliques are your side muscles that run right down the side here, and they're kind of woven in towards the middle of us. They again are quite deep, but they're our waist basically, is, if you think of it that way, whatever you move at the waist. But when we say armpit to hip, that's what you're contracting, these big woven muscles. And as we get older again, they get a bit soft and well hidden. So come to a neutral point after you've made that an even side bend. So we're going to take our left leg, come into our left leg now. Use your Pada Bandha here, press into it and switch on your left hip. Draw it over towards the center line. So then you might feel a big stretch starting here at the front. That's your Illiopsoas. They're both joined to your femur there. So you lift up your right leg now, bring it parallel, flex the foot. By doing that, do that a couple of times. Bit of balance. You can use a wall here or a chair if you need to. By doing that, this is what's moving your leg. This is what helps us to walk every day. This is what we use sitting, running, cycling. So sitting, this is where the problem comes often, and it shortens because we sit in this position for too long. Okay, so just keep the leg up if you're comfortable with it the next time. Pop your hand on the outside of that thigh and then press that thigh gently towards your hand so that you're still both hips parallel forward, and draw yourself round so that your shoulders, you'll not be quite looking forward, there will be a slight turn. So we're just going to put in a bit of a twist here. If anybody finds this difficult with balance, you can hold the wall. Okay, so all we're doing is taking that right hand and pop it behind us again, like we did the other day. So hand out facing you, rotate it, fold it behind you, so you're opening that shoulder. Big balance. If you need to, please hold on to something. Inhale through your left Pada Bandha there, drawing in the tummy. Exhale, rotate gently, using a little bit of leverage between the leg that's up and the hand that's on it. And come round and hold. So hold and balance and breathe. Connect with that Pada Bandha to the floor. Draw the tummy in, connecting a little bit through your Mula and your Uddiyana Bandha. And then thinking of that right shoulder, the one the arms behind your back. See if you can just open it slightly by levering slightly behind your back. And maybe you can go into a little bit more of a twist towards it. Breathe, always breathe. And then rotate back to the front, pop that leg to the floor. Notice the energy, maybe a bit of tiredness through the hips. Notice what's happening through the hip flexors. You've released that holding, so there's a little bit of openness now. Going to go to the same thing on the other side. So if you tire in this, please come out of it at any point. So first of all, Pada Bandha right foot, then we're lifting and lowering that leg. Anybody that doesn't want to twist here can just stay with the leg lifted. Excuse me. Okay, and the next one we're going to hold, find the Pada Bandha. Remember to switch that glute on towards the center line. Hand on the outside of the thigh, turn back to the front, hand on the palm backwards, fold the elbow inwards. So you've already opened the shoulder here. Inhale through the Pada Bandha of the right foot, lift up, lift through the tummy, feel that kinetic chain. Exhale, rotating. If I'm not on the breath with you, please do it in your own time. And rotate round. So this time, whoops, I'm going to wobble. Wobbling's good, by the way, it's your muscles remembering. Okay, so once you're round, inhale again and see if you can just exhale slightly more round. Where is the twist as you stand here? Where can you feel this? What's moving you? All those abdominal muscles have had to come into play. There's 29 pairs of muscles in our core. So they're also now in our upper core are working here. So the whole thing is working as a kinetic chain here. Inhale and exhale back to the front when you're ready. If you're not already there, come to the floor with the foot. Just feel what's happened in the legs. Have a little play through your feet. So taking the twist in a different position now. We're going to inhale the arms up above us into extension. And then we're just going to rotate the shoulders to look to the right side in my case. Take the right hand back, the left hand forward. The twist we're allowing to go right down through to our feet. We're not stopping at any point. Hold and breathe. So slightly different here. We know that we've extended to make space in the spine. We know that we've then been able to rotate. Where are you rotating through? Which muscles do you think are working here? Feels like it's all back muscles, but actually what's helping us here as well are the external and internal obliques on the side body. Your psoas has had to open on one side and contract on the other, along with other muscles, obviously. So all the muscles we've spoken of are in play here. Inhale the arms back up to the top, rotate to the front, release the arms down to the side. Same thing, other side. So use your Pada Bandha, inhale up, exhale round. Let the twist just slowly go down through the legs. Your feet might kind of rock a little bit. You're maybe not feeling quite as square in the floor. If you want to press into them, you can, but be careful because we don't want to then put pressure through knees or anything. So just hold and breathe. Maybe you can look towards that back hand and allow the twist to go right through up to the neck. Above the core, we think of that, but it's still using core muscles at the top of our shoulders, moving into the neck to move us round. When you're ready, we're going to inhale the arms back above the head and rotate back to the front and release hands down. Have a little roll through your shoulders. Just feel the energy and the movement that's coming through the movement rather that's coming to them. So we're going to take our cat-cows now. So cat-cow very much involves these psoas muscles. So imagine from up here, they're pulling you forward and folding you down. So as we round forward in cat, that's what we contract. As we open, the back muscles come into play, obviously, but we have to open those big psoas muscles to allow and release into cow. Okay, so when you're ready, if you haven't already, maybe hands on hips or thighs, inhale tall, allow the shoulders just to start to move, tucking the tummy again underneath so the Uddiyana Bandha comes into play a little bit here, and rolling down just as far as is comfortable. Inhale, press through your Pada Bandha, roll back up. Imagine those two big muscles, the psoas, and the little shorter one that goes between your hip and your femur, opening up in the front to allow you to move. Rolling down. Again into cat. Might not be in the breath here because I'm talking, so please take this all at your own time. Rolling back up into cow, open up the shoulders, move the clavicles, collarbones. Come back up into neutral. We're going to take some swan dives and sweep ups. If you don't want to do that, do some roll downs and roll ups. Again, we're thinking of the connection to this core here. And the psoas particularly working very deeply. So when you're ready, through the Pada Bandha, inhale, arms up above the head. If you're coming with me, we're swan diving. We're softening the knees and we're rolling down through the body, tucking through, bringing the hands by the side of the feet, and then we're rolling back up, coming back up to the top. Go again, so sweep through, exhale. Maybe the legs are starting to open a little bit here. Back up, one more, sweep through. Think of those two big muscles particularly. Deep, deep inside you, or maybe three if you're one of the lucky ones. And then release the hands back down. Okay, so let's, we're kind of warmed up now. So let's take our legs a little bit wider than hip distance. We're going to move into our left leg again and into that Pada Bandha. Switch the left hip on. You might want a wall here. So we're going to take our knee to elbow. But as you do that, I want you to think of the psoas lifting the leg. So knee to elbow, just take a few of those. So try and keep your shoulders up if you can, and just bring your knee up as high as you can, just moving slightly through that right shoulder. And then you can maybe start to draw down a little bit as you do it. Much bigger movement, many more muscles having to get involved here. Standing, hands to the side. Then come to the other side. So turn if you've got a wall, same thing, other side. Come into your right foot, right Pada Bandha, switch that right hip on. Leg comes up with the hip flexor or the Illiopsoas. Arm up above the head, inhale tall, exhale fold. So you can lift the leg up and down if you want a little bit more movement in it. So here we're using one side of the abdominal muscles to contract and open, but the other side's having to really work to give us a stability. So the stability group are a certain group of muscles, but all the muscles have the ability to be stira sukha, flexible and strong. Okay, so leg out to the side. If you don't want to do this one, this is a crossbody one. You can either just do the leg, or you can go back to the other one and just lift your leg up and down. But really thinking of the lower half here, so think more of the psoas if you don't want to do the arms. Okay, so this time we've got the right arm, left arm up, right foot out, and we're just cross body. So stability, if you're not holding the wall here, it's much more important to really connect through that standing foot. To use the breath for the rhythm also helps. Feel what's moving. This is much more of a cross-body feeling. So the stability is not on one side only. You're having to work to be flexible and strong on both sides. Come to stand, come to the other side. Bit of a workout this morning, isn't it? Right arm comes up, same thing, other side. So as I say, posture, core muscles, really important. The deeper the muscle, the more important to your core. And we all need a bit of posture, or rather more important to your posture. So sitting, important to sit properly as well as stand. One more, because if you sit rounded, you're shortening all these front body muscles. So remember that when we're sitting down, it's just important to find the bandha through our bottoms. Okay. Oh, even worse now, we're going into chair. So arms above the head or hands to heart center. You can use a wall or a chair again, remember. And what we're doing is tucking that tummy, find your little pelvic tilt first of all, and then settling down as if you were coming into a chair. So keeping that front body long. Hands at heart center, move your heart towards your thumbs. Hands above your head, draw your shoulders back and lift up through your heart. So draw up through the crown and tuck your chin to keep your neck lined. Find your feet. You may have gone in to your heels a little bit more here. So see if you can just find that connection through the ground still. And then let your bottom sink a little bit more if you can, and breathe. So switch on that Mula and Uddiyana Bandha if you can. So inhale long through the feet. Exhale, draw back through the belly. Inhale. Exhale through the belly. Inhale. One more. Exhale through the belly. Inhale, push through the feet, come back up to standing. Take the legs out to a little bit wider. Come into 5-star, have a big stretch out. Really reaching through from this middle right out in all directions. And then release the hands down to the side. Step the feet back a little closer. Come back into Tadasana. Close your eyes. Find that connection through your feet again. Don't need to control the breath here. Just watch it. Notice the speed. Feel your heart beating possibly, hopefully. A little bit faster than normal. Watch what's happening with the core muscles. Are they tired? So are they drooping forward, your shoulders? Roll them back. Is your tummy giving way? Hold it back. Push through the feet. Feel that extension through your iliacus, your lower and your psoas, but through these muscles across your hip flexors. Switch things on and then take a 30% rest through it. So you've got the posture, but you don't need to hold and grit your teeth. Okay, so then we're going to have our bricks handy. So grab them before we start the next little bit. Pop them in front of you. So, who here can touch their toes? We're going to take our feet wide. The wider they are, the easier this exercise is. Feet face forward or they slightly tip inwards. Knees can be bent. So if you're bending your knees, you probably want your feet forward rather than toes inwards. Okay? And then all we're going to do is take our hands out to the side and fold gently to wherever you can reach. Doesn't need to be your toes, but as I say, everybody can touch their toes. They just need to bend that knee on that side as you go towards the toes. So it's just bending one knee, stretching out the other leg to hold you stably. And then maybe you can try to come a little higher the next time. So can you feel all those muscles of your core working here? Come to body awareness. You can keep your knees bent here. I'm just going to take one more on the other side. Come back up. Keep the feet apart. We're going to fold forward and find our bricks. Pop them on tall if you're not ready. Bend your knees here if you need to, please. Feet are still facing forwards. We're thinking of, as I always say, hinge at the hips. So here where these two muscles become one tendon and join to the top of your femur, they're pulling you forward towards your legs here. So they either can pull your legs towards your torso or they can pull your torso towards your legs. Your brain can tell them to do either. So we've already told them which way we're going. We're keeping a long front body though. So tuck that tummy and tuck the belly again and draw the shoulders back slightly. Thinking of zipping up that long line muscle, the middle of you here, where the transverse abdominis meet. Okay, so when you're ready, inhale. As you exhale, fold over, long front body, crown going forward, bottom going slightly back, and find your bricks then under your shoulders. Okay, so feel your feet. Where has the weight gone into your feet? Has it gone backwards, forwards? Try and find the middle. Try and wriggle your toes to make sure they're not involved. And then lift up through the tummy, the Uddiyana Bandha area again. Draw it up. You probably can't really relate too closely to your pelvic floor here because it's a different sensation when you're standing like this. But lift up through the Uddiyana Bandha if you can. Lift that tummy up. Lengthen through the neck, tuck the chin. And then walk the bricks one at a time away from you, just to where you feel stable. Lengthening the body. The weight will move slightly in your feet when you're there. If you're comfortable, just stay stretched like this. If you're comfortable enough to come with me, what we're going to do is move the heart forward towards the hands again. So the heart then comes between the shoulders more. And you have a nice big stretch on the back of the legs then. Keep that tummy engaged. Lift up through the core muscles. And then walk back. And walk the bricks now through to between your feet. So here you can soften your knees, remember, at any point. But we're rolling the head down now. When we're tipping the pelvis, remember we spoke about the bowl the other day there. We're tipping the bowl of the pelvis forward here and releasing forward so that our psoas, Illiopsoas, are drawing us forward now. The body's coming down towards the legs. And then roll back up slowly from the base of the spine, start to roll up. Walk the bricks forward, take one under your face and take the other one and just pop it between your legs out the way. So you've got your right hand under your face on the brick. So we're going to take the elephant in the room now. So you all know this one. When you're ready, we're inhaling and we're opening up through the left arm. We can soften that right knee if you need to rotate. Make this soft and flowy. We'll take 3 on each side. So inhaling up, exhaling down, letting the movement come gently through your legs, but folding if you need to anywhere. It's a flowy movement, this. It's not a strain and pull. But think of what's happening down your side body here. What's having to move. When you've done your third one, take your left hand on the brick, move on to the other side. So to rotate like this, we're having to really use both sides of the oblique. They have to work at the same time to rotate us. No point in one side just pulling, because the other one won't let it go. So everything has to work together. They come in pairs, these muscles, for a reason. That's why we think of ourselves on 2 sides. After your third one, come back up, and killer, we're turning our feet inwards, and we're coming up to Goddess. So come up to Goddess now, turn your feet outwards rather, I said inwards I think, but outwards. So Goddess, hands back to our pelvis again, and just draw that pelvic tilt feeling back in. So tip the undercarriage forwards, often what I say. And while you're still here, just think of softening slightly down so that your knees are over your ankles, no further. They're a little bit lower if you can. Use a wall or a chair if you need to here. If you're comfortable, come with me. But everybody, I want to think first of all about rolling open that space between the ribs and the belly. Open up, lift up. Use your oblique muscles here to lift out of your pelvis. And then we're coming to the upper core here. So we're taking the arms out to the side and folding them into goalposts. If you don't want to do the arms, don't worry, we're only really working lower core. But draw the tummy in at all times. See if you can lift the Uddiyana Bandha up under your ribs. Back body muscles are obviously having to work here as well as the front body muscles. And then gently press up. Turn the feet forward, come into 5-star again. Have a big stretch. And release the hands down to the side. So let's come down to the floor carefully now, so you can roll down maybe if you want to, or you can just bring yourself down to the floor. We're going to come into Tadasana for a moment before we go down onto our backs. Isn't it always nice when I say let's go down to the floor? Okay, so in Tadasana when you're ready. So instead of our Pada Bandha here, we're using our bottoms. We're using our sit bones, remember. So they're kind of working as our Pada Bandha. So you're pressing gently into your sit bones. And you're using your Illiopsoas to draw you up. So that your hip flexors draw your body towards your thighs here. Excuse me. And then we want to think about these other muscles. So draw up through the front body abdominal muscles here. Open up. Don't have them all crunched up. Try and open them, using the back body to lift. Think of the side body, the oblique muscles. Lift out of your pelvis a little bit more. Take your arms up above your head for a moment. Keep your shoulders down-ish away from your ears. But then lift them up. Lift everything up and open up the side oblique muscles. And then just release the hands down. Try and keep everything else where it is now. And release the hands down to the side. You should be about 1 inch taller. You should feel you've switched on your waist. Going back to your feet. If you draw your toes now towards you, you will feel that same connection as we do when we're standing with the Pada Bandha. So flex and point the toes a little bit, and then keep them flexed. And really push gently through the soles of the feet. Push your heels away. Feel that connection through your legs. And breathe. So close the eyes for a second. Hands can be down at your side. Think of the sunniest day you can. Find the breath, draw it down as far as you can comfortably towards your belly. See if on the exhale you can find that pelvic floor. On the next exhale, see if you can find the pelvic floor and the Uddiyana Bandha. Take 3 more breaths, using both the bandhas and your feet if you can as well. So switch on everything here. Lift up through the side bodies again if you're slumping. And then release. Oh, we're not quite going onto our backs yet, I've just remembered. So we're coming into, we're not doing boat pose, don't panic. We're going to rotate the shoulders round so that our front body is open. And we've got our hands behind us. And we're going to bring our feet to the floor and bring them in as if we were going into boat, but we're not. So you want to still have that boat body feeling as if it's lifting out of your pelvis. You want those side obliques still nice and long. You want the transverse abdominis on the front of your body or internally to be lifted and stretched. You don't want to feel as if anything's crumpling. And then we're just going to lift our right foot about 1 inch off the floor. So hip flexors are moving into that. Tendency is, for me particularly, I've got quite strong lower hip flexors, so the iliacus. Just keep doing that, lifting 2 or 3 times, and then move to the other foot. So the tendency is for us to use them instead of using our core muscles in our abdominal area. For me, anyway, that's what I do. I know as I get older, it's getting worse. So I need to really switch on the tummy here as I do this. So do that again on the right side a couple of times, but switch your tummy on if you can. Really draw back through it and upwards. And you'll feel, go back to the left side, you'll feel possibly that the weight gets taken out of your hip flexor. It doesn't have to switch on quite so much. And then release. So if you're happy to come with me, then do so. If not, you can go down to the floor and take a nice big stretch. But we're going to lift the leg this time and we're going to straighten the foot out. I'm going to lift, might have to go back a little bit. I have to lift the thigh up now so that it's now parallel to the other thigh. Then all we're going to do is lower and lift. So again, we're switching on the hip flexors. I can feel I've shortened, so I really need to open up the chest and lift out of my waist area. Draw in through the tummy to switch off the flexors a little bit. Leg will tire, but it's not the leg that's tiring, it's actually the hip flexors are tiring. So once you've had enough, you can come down to the bottom, stop, move to the other leg. I've had enough. Straighten the other leg if you're coming with me. If you're just enjoying a nice big stretch, think about your obliques as you do it on the floor. Inhale, those that are with me, lift up, lower. So inhale up, exhale, lower. Keep that tummy engaged. The inhale helps us to activate, remember. So we're lifting on the inhale. So the heavy part of the movement here is well, it might be the downward for some people actually. It may be that the breath works differently for you here. And then release, put down to the floor. One more here before everybody can come to the floor. So those that are on the floor are now really pleased they took that choice. We're going to do some yogic cycling. So all we're going to do is draw the right knee in a little bit closer to our chest. Take the left leg away and then cycle. So try and keep that long front body here. Try and switch the tummy muscles on. This is a rude awakening. I won't do this every week to you, I promise. But sometimes we realise when we do something how much we do need to do it because we actually don't want to and don't feel that we're doing it very well when we do it. It reminds us of past times when this was very easy. Okay, then come feet to the floor. Everybody come down to the floor then. Come onto your back. For those of you that haven't yet and want, those of you that want to do it again, take a nice right side body stretch there. So from that center, from the side maybe on your waist, think of moving downwards, opening up through the hips and the hip flexors deeper, right down to the Pada Bandha heel, and lifting up through the obliques on the side of your body, through to the armpit, right along your arms to your fingertips. Release everything back to that center point, take the same on the other side. So think of moving out, reaching out from the middle outwards rather than from the ends getting pulled. Have that kinetic chain of movement from your center up and down. And then release back to center. We're going to come into bridge now. So there's 2 or 3 options here if you're in bridge. One is that you just take yourself straight into supported bridge. 2, you take a 2 or 3 rolls and then you go into supported bridge. 3, you come arms above the head 2 or 3 times, then go into supported bridge. And the last one is the leg lift in this one. So take whichever version, stop when you want to, bring your brick in and support yourself under your pelvic girdle and just rest and open the front of your body a little bit. So those that are doing the roll-ups with me, we're taking the pelvic tilt, remember, first of all. Then we inhale, press into the Pada Bandha here to lift us. Draw up through, roll up gently, particularly the first time, take it easy. Roll up to the shoulders, and then roll back down on the exhale. Lifting up, press through the feet, find that kinetic chain moving up through your psoas and your iliacus. They're opening up nicely and stretching out. A little bit deeper, you probably can't feel them. It's probably the muscles in the front of your body. It's probably that 6-pack, which is actually a 10-pack. You roll up the next time. Next time somebody shows you the 6-pack, say to them, where's your other 4? Because it's actually one big, very, it's very much in the surface, that muscle. Okay, so now you can either go into supported bridge or you can take your arms up and down with me. We're taking 3 of these. Yeah, so the 6-pack muscles are very much on the exterior of your abdominal area. That's why they can be seen. That's why they can be worked on and shown off very nicely. They actually are little pockets in the same muscle that just kind of build into those little groups. So you look like you've got 6 muscles, but it's actually all the same thing. So if they've only got 6, they haven't worked it properly, tell them. Okay, after the 3rd one, those that want to go into supported bridge, take it now. Otherwise, if you want to come with me, you can take your hands above your head here or not. But I'm going to roll up and take my hands above my head. And then I'm going to hold up here and I'm going to squeeze the glutes. Come off the breath for a second, squeeze the glutes and really just open up through the hip flexor area and the front of the thighs here and the front of the core. And then roll back down. Arms are staying above my head here. I'm staying extended. So I really feel the obliques then as I stay extended. Coming back up and holding the next time. So rolling back up. Moving into the left foot, the left Pada Bandha, lifting the right foot. You can either just lift it off an inch or so, or you can extend it like I'm going to. Hold thigh to thigh. Point and flex that foot that's up. And then release that leg to the floor. We're staying up now, we're moving into the right Pada Bandha. So find that connection there Find the stability, open up the other leg, or just lift it an inch or so. Flex and point if you brought the leg up with you. And then release that foot to the floor. If you can grab your brick now and stick it under you straight away, you're going to just release back down, or you can roll down and roll back up and come into supported bridge, everybody, just for a couple of breaths here. So supported bridge, if you're on the lower one and you want to try it a little bit higher, you can tip the brick onto its side, but don't go to the tall one. It's very bad for your back, actually. It's not good for you, that. So stay on either the low or the second one. The second one will give you a little bit more opening. If you want to, you can take one leg away and then the other leg away, and you'll get a nice opening right across the psoas area there and the iliacus area. But beware, if you're up high, this can feel a little bit wobbly. So if you don't like that, you can go down low, maybe try it if you'd like to open up. You just walk your legs slightly away from you, but beware of your lower back here, do be careful. This is quite a nice big opener for the belly area, the lower belly. And you can take your arms above your head if you feel stable enough here and really open up the side bodies as well. So it's a kind of, it's kind of the other end of fish in a way. Fish is the top end of you, but this is the opposite end. It's just an extended bridge in effect. Pada Bandha, Sarvangasana. I have to try and keep remembering all these names so they go out my head. Okay, bring your feet back to the floor, because of course the memory is a muscle too that we need to work on. Take the support away from you and roll back down onto the floor. Get your feet a little bit further away from you into the width of the mat and put in some very gentle windscreen wipers to start. Very gentle, because the middle area of the lower back might feel a little bit loose and destabilized. So just take some very gentle goes. Don't go too far. And then bring your feet together and bring your right knee in, left knee in, and just have a roll through the back of your body there. Just gentle rock from side to side. So we've worked a lot on our core muscles here today, but we mustn't forget we have got back muscles that have been working all the time with them. Again, it's a whole thing, it's a box area, so it's the back and the front of you that are working. We've got some very strong postural muscles in the lower back attached to the spine. They've been working really hard. That's where we often also get a lot of backache from. And people like me that have lordosis, that's a lot to do with the way these muscles are constructed. And also, mine is from birth, so it is obviously something to do with that. Sometimes people, just as they get older, sink a little bit and end up with curves all over the place in the wrong place of the spine. That's often to do with the muscles not being strong and stable, or not being flexible as well as the other thing. So getting to know your body a little bit more. You don't need to remember all the names. Bring the feet to the floor again. You don't need to remember all the names particularly. Okay, so I'm going to put a little twist in here. If you don't want to do that, then you might just want to stretch out. But we're going to take our feet together on the mat, a little bit further away than bridge from us, and we're just going to allow our legs to roll over to the left, right across the hips. If you want to bring a brick in under your legs here, then do so. It's a version of Jatari Kavriti, but we've got our legs further away from us than normal. We would normally bring our knees into chest for this one. You've come into a twist. It's a lower body twist. So the twist is obviously going through the spine further up. But this is a really nice opener. Feel what's happening in your hip flexor area now, and in your, generally in the front of your abdominal area, the lower abdominal area, below your belly button. Quite a nice space making one, this one. As I say, you can use some to support your legs if you need to. Your shoulders should feel quite flat on the floor if your legs are far enough away from you here. We're not looking at moving through the shoulder girdle here. And just breathe. So notice what might still be hanging on. We know from this often it's a lower hip. So can you find that? Is it that your lower hip flexor is still holding on? Mine is, I can feel it. So try and use your exhale to release that point of view. Being aware of these muscles this morning, so you know where they are now. The top of your left femur if you've gone over to the left, or the top of your right if you go over to the right. See if you can just release that leg, make it heavier, so that that muscle lets go. Feel the space it makes in your lower core then. Tummy might start rumbling like mine just did. And then we're going to come up from this. So switch your tummy muscles on a little bit here. Use your feet then to roll back up. Use your inhale if it helps as well. If you need a stretch in between, please take it. Otherwise, just let your legs roll over to the other side. Noticing if that's easier or harder. Does your shoulder want to come with you? If it does, it probably means the muscles are tighter going this way. Across your waist particularly, maybe it's not letting go. So it might be when you find your breath that it's not your lower hip that you just need to let go. It might be the upper area. It might be around those oblique muscles that run down the side of your body that you might have to tell your leg to be heavier. Often then makes the muscle let go. Find your breath again. Nice space across the abdominal area here, across the lower core. That muscular box between your diaphragm and your pelvis, and your obliques on either side. The psoas in there deep. The deep transverse abdominis that runs up the front of your body. And then your little six pack on the top. So to come out of this, engage your tummy muscles, use your inhale, use your feet, roll back up to the top. Have a little stretch out. And then come to Shavasana just to finish. So either Shavasana here, or you might find you want to take your feet together into Utthita Konasana. When you do that, you will need to put supports under your thighs. Just allow your legs, however flexible you are, you probably still need something under your thighs to allow your legs to rest onto them, because otherwise something has to hold on. However much you think you've let go, you're still holding on. So that's a choice. Or in Shavasana, kind of tucking, as we tuck our shoulders often here, think of tucking the hips under so that it really opens up the front across your across the space between your pelvic bones there. So the psoas and the Illiopsoas also help our legs to rotate outwards. So they are in use and they're big muscles, remember. So you may have to really think again of allowing your body to sink into the back of the mat. Let go of those glutes that have switched on possibly. Maybe widen the legs slightly a little bit more, see if that switches things off a bit and lets them just relax. Find your breath again. Inhale for 4, exhale for 6. Maybe hands on the belly, feeling that inhale come down through to the belly, and then exhaling for 6 to release. Maybe you want to open your mouth and sigh the breath away. So you're going back just one more time to the psoas muscles and all the abdominal muscles actually, but particularly the psoas muscles. They're very connected to your diaphragm and all the fascia inside your abdominal area. They're attached to every wall through fascia. The connective tissue holds it to all around your body. So if you're not breathing properly, it could also be to do with those. Imagine somebody that has curled over as they've got older. The diaphragm's being pulled down. So they're not able to expand and release the same. They're not able to get that space into the belly when they breathe in. The psoas muscle has got a lot to do with that because that's your posture muscle, remember, or one of them, but the main one. But I still can't tell you if you've got a psoas minor. So after your next breath, if you're able to stay and enjoy Shavasana, then please do. Otherwise, roll over to the side. Take a couple of breaths, open your eyes. Give yourself time to adjust as you come back up. Remember, that's for everybody because everybody can get lightheaded moving too quickly. It's not just an older thing. So, to finish our week this week on familiarity. It's good to become familiar with the things that we might have become unfamiliar with, or we might have just forgotten about for some time. So that elephant in the room is always there. Say hello to him, it's quite nice, really. Thank you, everybody, for your practice, and may the light in me always greet the light in you. Namaste.